Aladdin was a movie that came out in the early 90s, but it's just a continuation of a tradition in the Middle East of the legend of the Jinn, which is where we get the genie part from. And those old fables all start off and happen in the same way. A young Bedouin boy, Aladdin or whoever, finds a little lamp in the sand. It's kind of pretty, and he starts to rub it. And the same thing happens. Suddenly, this huge, powerful genie comes out. And when he comes out, he usually makes a statement. He looks at the young person, whoever rubbed the lamp, and says, "My master, my master." Now, the movie in the early 90s, the genie was played by Robin Williams, and he had a few jokes to throw in there first. But at some point, he does recognize Aladdin, this little Bedouin boy, as his master. And when the jinn is released, there seems to be some kind of cosmic obligation. Because only when someone rubs the lamp is the genie set free. There's this cosmic obligation that whoever did it gets 3 wishes. He's owed that by some kind of obligation. Now, in the Robin Williams version, he quickly puts constraints around those wishes. Don't be asking for another 3 wishes. I can't kill anybody, but you'd be surprised what you can live through. And there's a no refund policy. What you get is what you get. But that genie is bound by obligation to offer those 3 to his master. And anybody remember I Dream of Genie? That's what she called the major master. Now, I say this because I myself, and I think many of us may have been guilty of this, of treating God like a genie, like an ATM machine, like a vending machine, or out of some obligation that God has to just answer our prayers, to save us, as if he owes us heaven. He's supposed to answer our prayers, whatever they may be. Here's my list of requests. You're God. You're supposed to fulfill them, whatever they may be. So let me say right up front that he is our master, not the other way around. And he is under no obligation whatsoever to us. It is the other way around. But I would say also, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. Because this has been going on even before Jesus. If you look in the first reading today of Habakkuk, the very first 2 lines is the prophet Habakkuk screaming out to God, "You're supposed to answer my prayers. Why do you not listen? I've been praying for them to clean themselves up, the Israelites. You see all this violence, why don't you intervene? I've been praying to you. Aren't you just supposed to answer it?" Well, he's treating God like a genie, as if God owes him to just control the people around them, to violate their free will, to just fix his situation, to make his life easier in this life. There's a heresy that goes with that. But I think we know as Christians that that's not the faith that Jesus passed on to the apostles. He actually told them the opposite. Listen, if you're going to come and follow me, there's going to be strife. They're going to draw you up. They will mock you. They will utter every kind of falsely claim against you because of me. Get ready. It's going to happen. And he even lets us know that even now, in the time of Christ, when he was still talking to his disciples, he told them at the end of time, people will be shocked that they don't get in. Of the foolish bridesmaids who said, "No, let us in. We have our lamps here. We ate with you. We drove out demons in your name." And only the Lord say, "I do not know you." Or at that great getting up morning on the day of the resurrection, those on his right and those on his left. And those on his left will say the same thing, in shock. They will say, when did we see you hungry or thirsty and did not tend to your needs? And he will let them know, well, you didn't do it for the least of my brothers and sisters. You didn't do it for me. And they'll be shocked because they'll think, well, I'm a good person. Surely he'll let me in. He owes me heaven. Because when we think like this, we believe like this, our hearts will get harder. If we're not careful, our hearts will get harder. That just because we have been saved by baptism, come to Mass most of the time, follow most of the precepts, put a little something in the basket, that God will shower us with earthly pleasures. Not too long ago, a young person came to me and said, Lord, Father, I've been praying to God that my bank account go up. Why isn't he answering my prayers? A basic misunderstanding of Christianity. Or something that's not so funny. Oftentimes a spouse will say, Father, I've been praying that my spouse become a nicer person. That my spouse fix themselves, or that God will fix them. I've been waiting on God. I've been praying. How come he's not answering my prayers? Or, even more common, Father, I pray my kids have walked away from the faith. I've been praying for them to come back. It's not working. It's not working. How do you know it's not working? What does working look like? As if God's supposed to throw down his grace, his chains, and control people like a puppet master. There's a name for that. It's called Calvinism. That ain't us. But again, if we believe like that, our hearts will get harder, as you sang over and over again. I will also say that I find that inviting people to Mass, inviting people to the Catholic faith is challenging. But the most challenging people you will ever invite to the Catholic faith are ex-Catholics. That's the most challenging. And I've heard it, I know you have, many times. I went to Catholic school all my life. I went to CC, my parents dragged me to Mass. I know the Catholic thing. I know the Catholic thing. Been there, done that. I don't need it. Well, the truth is, they never knew their Catholic faith, and yeah, they do need it. A simple question is, what are the 3 sacraments of initiation? And they look at you funny. What are the mystery gifts of the Holy Spirit? Who was the first pope? Just basic stuff. Because I was told all those things too in my Catholic school. I don't remember any of it. But now in 2025, we have to seek to educate ourselves, catechize ourselves. Because there's people in this neighborhood who were Catholic. It's very difficult to bring them back. Actually, I met 3 of them yesterday. Said the same thing yesterday. Christianity is giving God his due because he's already gave us all of himself. What the prophet Habakkuk maybe doesn't understand, and hopefully we do, is that God entered into a covenant with the people of God, and he didn't have to. He didn't have to. He actually put himself under oath. And that Christ gave himself for us freely, not under oppression or obligation. We're the ones under obligation. He has saved us, but he didn't have to. He didn't have to, freely chose to lay down his life. And the question, what do we do with our lives? So I, as the pastor, and we are those of us who call ourselves teachers of the faith, we have to make sure we can check that box, that we went over that lesson, which says, what is the least asked of us when it comes to being the fullness of the Christian faith in the Catholic Church? Well, there actually has a name for it. They're called the precepts of the church. Jackson, throw them up there. If you don't know what these are, pull out your phone and take a picture. This is what it takes to get a D- as a Roman Catholic. You all know this. You're all here. Attend Mass on Sundays and holy days of obligation. That is the obligation. God doesn't have to make himself present here. He does so out of love, out of great love. Hopefully your obligation will turn into love. And holy days, whatever those may be. Go to confession at least once a year. At least once a year. Now, if you think that maybe for you once a year is enough, that's all you need, to go to confession once a year. If that's you, maybe we should nominate you for sainthood. Because you're so holy. I did the math. I go every 3 weeks. That's 17 times a year. I'm not bragging. I should go more because I am a sinner. And when I sin, I hurt you. Because I too am part of the body of Christ. I went yesterday. And sometimes Father Will gives me a hard penance. These younger priests, I tell you. You're supposed to go to receive communion. You only have to receive once a year. You only have to receive once a year, but you should be at Mass every holy day of obligation. And if you're in a situation where you can't receive communion, for whatever reason, if you're living in a situation where it would be inappropriate to come to communion, it should feel like someone's holding your head underwater. That's what you should approach it as. And all of you probably have been held underwater. And you know you bite and kick and scream to get your head above water. Why? So you can breathe. So you can breathe and live. And don't get used to living a certain way. Observe days of fasting and abstinence. How many days a year does the Catholic Church demand that you fast? 2. That's when you have to fast. That's when you're obedient. Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. And abstain. We ask you to abstain from meat a few Fridays, the Fridays during Lent. But the church has always said that Friday should be a day of penitence. Now, some of you who are a little bit older, remember when you never ate meat on Fridays. And in suspending that, the church didn't say, don't worry about it. Go have all-you-can-eat catfish. That's not what she said. There's some cultures that don't eat meat. So with them in mind, in a worldwide church, said pick some act of penitence. I try never to eat meat on Fridays, and I try to skip at least one meal. Now, for some of you, that may no big deal. Maybe you are a vegetarian. I love beef. Sometimes I dream about a triple meat, with triple cheese, with grilled onions and grilled jalapenos. Try it. I'm starting to sweat just thinking about it. But that may not be a sacrifice for you. Turning off your TV for one day, that might be a sacrifice. Turning off your phone. Oh. One of the greatest penances that we ever did, this may take a minute to explain. There was a Catholic school in Waco, Riker, that they played a teenage prison school, and they had no crowd and no cheerleaders. So they asked the JV cheerleaders to dress up and cheer for the other team, and a couple of us went over there and cheered for the other team. That takes work. It just felt weird to cheer for the different team because those were our brothers down there, and they had no one to cheer for them. Sacrificing your own allegiances for people that don't have, and to provide for the needs of the church. This comes up especially when we start talking about the Catholic service appeal, and that'll be coming up here in the next few weeks. We're asked to look and recognize that we have time, talent, and treasure. And do we look at the gifts that God gave us, because it's all a gift, and take an account of that? All three, because I would say sometimes the treasure is the easiest. Just write a check. It's the time and the talent. Sometimes it can be the most sacrificial. These are the precepts of the church. Does this guarantee heaven? Nope. This makes heaven possible. But we have given all kinds of tools. And Mother Church has laid out the groundwork and let us know what it means to be the least among us. All of you ladies know, if a man, your husband, your boyfriend ever asks you, what's the least I can do? What's the least I can do to woo you, love you, provide for you? You probably wouldn't be too excited about that particular guy. Well, we are asked to be excited about our Catholic faith. And when we go before the Lord, especially at the resurrection, and Jesus comes, he's not going to look at any of us and say, my master. That's actually a heresy, an abomination. That's sacrilege. He's not going to say that. We're supposed to say that. Hopefully we will drop to our knees and be in a place where we look at him and say, my master. With St. Thomas, my Lord and my God. That's what we do with our bodies when we come before communion. Because what we want him to say to us is, well done, my good and faithful servant. Well done. He gave us all of himself, and we are obliged, because we're made to do so, give him all of ourselves as well.